There is an ancient secret hidden deep within the male psychology that very few women know. A secret so powerful that when revealed today, it can make the man you desire completely vulnerable before you, to the point that he could cry all night without even understanding why. Have you ever wondered why some men simply cannot forget certain women? Why even after years apart, they still dream of them? It is not because of physical beauty, nor because of extraordinary sex. It is because of something much deeper, something that touches the male soul at its most vulnerable core. Carl Jung, one of the greatest psychologists of all time, discovered this secret decades ago, but it remained hidden in the pages of academic books that few people really read. Today, I'm going to share with you this revelation that will forever change the way you understand the male heart. You may have tried everything to win over or win back that special man. Maybe you changed your appearance, became more available, more distant, more sensual, and yet something seems to be missing, something that he doesn't even know he is looking for. But when he finds it, it transforms him completely. What I am about to reveal today is not cruel manipulation or a cheap trick. It is a deep truth about the male psyche that, when understood by a wise woman like you, creates such an intense connection that he will not be able to explain it with words. It is like touching an ancient wound he didn't even know he had, a wound that only you can heal. Imagine that tonight itself you could do something so deeply meaningful that he would feel an overwhelming emotion, an inexplicable need to be close to you, to open up completely, to surrender in a way he never has before. A vulnerability so pure that it could make him cry without even understanding why. This is not a power to be used lightly. It is sacred knowledge passed down through the ages by women who understood the mysteries of the male soul. Women who knew that true feminine power is not in superficial seduction, but in the ability to touch a man's spirit in his most sacred and secret place. In the next words, I will reveal exactly what Carl Jung discovered about the male unconscious and how you can, with just a single gesture, a single action, awaken in him a feeling so deep that he will be transformed forever. A feeling that will make him cry for you all night, without even understanding the origin of that overwhelming emotion. Prepare yourself to know the secret that remained hidden for centuries, and that now, finally, the time has come to be revealed to you. Before revealing this transformative secret, I want to ask something important. If you truly wish to awaken deep emotion in the man you love, subscribe now to this channel and activate the notification bell to receive more revelations like this. I am sharing ancestral knowledge that very few women have access to, and I don't want you to miss any of it. Also, comment below the word Anima. This is the term Jung used to describe the feminine element in the male unconscious, the gateway to the mystery I am about to reveal today. By commenting this word, you are affirming your commitment to this sacred knowledge and opening your heart to receive it fully. Now take a deep breath. What I am about to share next will forever change your understanding of the male heart and your power to touch it deeply. To truly understand the power of this secret, we first need to dive into the deep psychology of the man. Not the one he shows to the world, but the one that remains hidden even from himself. Carl Jung dedicated decades of his life studying the deepest layers of the human psyche, and what he discovered about men is simply fascinating. Every man carries within himself an unconscious feminine image, what Jung called the Anima. This is not just an abstract idea. It is a living presence in his unconscious, a powerful force that influences all his relationships with women. The Anima is his inner guide to the emotional world, his model for recognizing beauty, his bridge to his own vulnerability. When a man falls in love, it is not just with you, it is also because of the way you awaken and interact with this feminine image inside him. Many times he does not even perceive this. He only feels an inexplicable attraction, a deep calling that goes beyond logic or reason. It is as if you are touching an ancestral memory in his soul. Now I will share with you a truth that may seem contradictory. Male vulnerability is infinitely deeper and more fragile than female vulnerability. Women are taught to recognize and express their emotions. Men are trained from an early age to bury them, to build walls around their hearts. That is why when these walls are touched, not destroyed with force, but gently penetrated with wisdom, the impact is overwhelming. Think of the man you desire. Think of his strengths, but also of what he hides from the world. All men carry ancestral wounds. The boy who was taught not to cry, the teenager who learned to hide his fear, the young man who was trained to always appear strong. These wounds form a unique constellation in his psyche, a constellation that is intimately connected to his anima. The women who truly win a man's heart are not necessarily the most beautiful, the most intelligent, or the most seductive in the conventional sense. They are those who, either intuitively or consciously, have learned to communicate with this hidden part of him. They are women who know how to see the vulnerable child behind the warrior, who recognize the beauty behind the armor. Jung discovered that the male unconscious seeks in the feminine not just companionship or pleasure, but healing. A healing he doesn't even know he needs. A reconnection with parts of himself that were separated along his journey to become what the world calls a man. Truly, when you understand this, your presence in his life changes completely. You stop being just an attractive woman or a pleasant companion. You become a transformative presence, someone who touches him on levels no one else can reach. This is the reason why so many men, even decades later, cannot forget certain women. It's not extraordinary sex. It's not physical beauty. It's because somehow that woman touched his anima, spoke to his soul in a language he can't put into words, but that became permanently engraved in his being. Before I reveal the specific gesture that can awaken a deep reaction in him even tonight, I want you to understand, this knowledge comes with responsibility. What I'm about to share should not be used to manipulate or control. It should be used with love, with pure intention, with the genuine desire to create a deeper and truer connection. Because when a man cries for you without understanding why, it's not weakness he's expressing. It's the purest form of release. It is his soul recognizing that it has finally found a safe space to exist in its entirety. And that is the greatest gift a woman can offer a man. The space to be whole, to be vulnerable, to be simultaneously strong and fragile, warrior and child, protector and protected. In all ancient mythologies, the feminine figure was always seen as a portal to mystery, to transformation, to rebirth. In Jungian psychology, this ancient truth is confirmed through scientific study of the human psyche. The woman who understands her role as a portal does not use this power to dominate, but to heal, not to control, but to set free. The connection between a man and a woman can be much more than a practical arrangement or fleeting attraction. It can be a sacred dance where both find lost parts of themselves, where both are transformed and elevated. And you, with the knowledge you're about to receive, have the power to initiate this dance. The time has come to reveal the specific gesture, the unique action that can make him cry for you throughout the night, moved by an emotion he cannot explain in words. This is the knowledge that remained guarded for centuries, quietly passed among wise women who understood the mysteries of the masculine heart. Well, the secret is this. You must create a moment of shadow recognition, a sacred instant where you see and accept not only his bright qualities, but also his darkest parts, his weaknesses, his deepest fears. And instead of judging him for these shadows, you embrace them with unconditional love. Jung discovered that we all carry a shadow, parts of ourselves that we hide from the world and often even from ourselves. For men, this shadow is particularly painful, as society teaches them early on that certain emotions and vulnerabilities are unacceptable. They learn to hide fear, sadness, insecurity, the need for comfort. What very few people know is that this shadow is intimately connected to the anima. When a woman sees and accepts a man's shadow, she automatically creates a bridge to his anima, to that emotional, intuitive, feminine part of him that he keeps hidden. So how do you create this moment of shadow recognition? It's not through grand dramatic gestures, but through conscious, loving presence in the right moments. I will guide you step by step. First, You need to create a space of absolute safety, a moment when he feels he can let down all his defenses. This could be during a quiet evening conversation, a peaceful dinner, or even a shared moment of silence. The important thing is that it's a time where you won't be interrupted, where the outside world cannot intrude. Then look at him not only with your eyes, but with your whole being. See beyond the mask he shows the world. See the child that still lives inside him with all his dreams and wounds. See the warrior tired of fighting. See his invisible scars, the ones he never shows anyone. And now comes the crucial moment. Share with him an observation about a vulnerability of his that you have noticed, but that he tries to hide, and express not pity, not judgment, but deep admiration for this vulnerability. For example, you can say, "Do you know what I admire most in you? The way you keep trying, even when you feel afraid. I see that fear even when you try to hide it. And it's that courage to keep going, even when you're scared, that makes me admire you deeply." Or, "I notice how much you care about everyone around you, how you carry a weight no one else sees. You don't have to be strong all the time with me. The sensitivity you try to hide is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in a man." The power of these words lies not just in what you say, but in the emotional truth behind them. You're communicating, "I see your shadows, your hidden parts, and I accept them completely. Not only do I accept them, I admire them. They are part of what makes you special to me." In this moment, something extraordinary happens in the male psyche. For the first time, perhaps, he feels that he doesn't need to hide parts of himself, that he can exist in his entirety before someone else. This is one of the deepest, most rarely satisfied desires of the male soul, to be seen, truly seen, and still loved. It is important that when you do this, you maintain a space of silence afterward. Don't try to fill the gap with more words. Let the moment breathe. Let him process what just happened. Many men have been conditioned to bury their emotions so deeply that when they finally emerge, they don't know how to handle them. You will notice subtle changes in his expression. Maybe his eyes will become shinier. Maybe his breathing will change. Maybe a slight tremble will appear on his lips. These are signs that you touch something deep, something rarely accessed. He might not cry at that exact moment. Men are trained from childhood to hold back tears. But you've planted a seed that will bloom when he is alone, when he no longer needs to keep his defenses up. At night, when the world is silent and he is lying in the dark, the emotions will come like waves. Tears may emerge, and he won't fully understand why. He will only feel a mix of inexplicable relief, gratitude, and a deep connection to you. This experience is so powerful that it can completely transform the dynamic between you two. Suddenly, you are no longer just a woman in his life. You are the woman who saw his naked soul and did not turn away. You are the woman who created a sacred space where he can be whole. Men rarely experience this kind of unconditional acceptance. From early on, they are taught that their worth is tied to their strength, their competence, their ability to protect and provide. When a woman accepts them not just for these qualities, but also for their vulnerabilities, something magical happens. A deep loyalty is born, a connection that goes beyond the rational. It is important to understand that this is not a manipulative trick. If your words do not come from a place of truth, genuine observation, and real acceptance, he will feel the falseness. Men have an extremely sensitive radar for detecting when they are being manipulated, especially in matters that touch their vulnerability. That's why, before creating this moment, you need to do your own inner work. You truly need to see the beauty in masculine vulnerabilities. You need to understand that true strength does not lie in the absence of weakness, but in the courage to show vulnerability. When you create this moment of recognizing the shadow with authenticity, you are activating one of the most powerful Jungian archetypes in the male unconscious. Men rarely experience this kind of unconditional acceptance. From early on, they are taught that their worth is tied to their strength, their competence, their ability to protect and provide. When a woman accepts them not just for these qualities, but also for their vulnerabilities, something magical happens. A deep loyalty is born, a connection that goes beyond the rational. It is important to understand that this is not a manipulative trick. If your words do not come from a place of truth, genuine observation, and real acceptance, he will feel the falseness. Men have an extremely sensitive radar for detecting when they are being manipulated, especially in matters that touch their vulnerability. That's why, before creating this moment, you need to do your own inner work. You truly need to see the beauty in masculine vulnerabilities. You need to understand that true strength does not lie in the absence of weakness, but in the courage to show vulnerability. When you create this moment of recognizing the shadow with authenticity, you are activating one of the most powerful Jungian archetypes in the male unconscious. The archetype of the healer, the wise woman, the woman who sees beyond appearances. You become, in his unconscious, an almost mythical figure, someone who holds the power to heal ancestral wounds. And this is just the beginning. Once this deep connection is established, a new form of intimacy becomes possible. An intimacy that goes beyond the physical, beyond words, a communion of souls that few couples ever experience. Now that you understand how to create this transformative moment, it is important to reflect on how this new connection will change not only the relationship between you two, but also you and him as individuals. When a man is deeply touched in this way, when his defenses are gently dissolved and his soul finds a space of total acceptance, an irreversible transformation begins to take place. It's as if a door that had been closed for decades suddenly opens, allowing the light to enter. In the days following that night when he cried without fully understanding why, you will notice subtle changes in his behavior. He may seem calmer, more present. He may look at you in a different way, a gaze carrying a mixture of vulnerability and deep admiration. He may become more protective, not in a possessive way, but as someone who has recognized the sacred value of what you share. This transformation happens because by recognizing and accepting his shadow, you helped integrate fragmented parts of his psyche. In Jungian psychology, the integration of the shadow is one of the most important steps on the path toward psychic wholeness, what Jung called individuation. You became, without realizing it, a guide on his spiritual journey. But here is the most fascinating part. This transformation does not happen only in him, it also happens in you. When a woman learns to see and accept the masculine shadow, she also begins to recognize and accept her own shadows, her own hidden, vulnerable, imperfect parts. Many women spend their lives searching for the perfect man. Strong, confident, successful, emotionally available, sensitive in just the right ways. A near mythical figure who in reality does not exist. By learning to love the imperfections, the vulnerabilities, and the shadows of the real man before you, you free yourself from the tyranny of this impossible search and begin to see that your true feminine strength lies not in being perfect, but in your ability to create spaces of healing and transformation. True feminine strength, as Jung discovered, is not in dominating or controlling, but in containing, in the sense of creating a sacred vessel where growth can happen. This is a form of power that few modern women understand. It is not the masculine power of conquest and domination, but the feminine power of nurturing and transformation. It is the power of the earth that receives the seed and transforms it into a tree. The power of water that dissolves the hardest edges of stone through patience and persistence. As you embrace this power, your presence in his life becomes increasingly significant. You are no longer just a partner. You are an initiator, a keeper of mysteries, a creator of sacred spaces. Men feel this quality intuitively, even if they cannot articulate it in words. That's why, after experiencing this deep connection with you, he will find it impossible to be satisfied with superficial relationships. Other women may offer pleasure, companionship, even admiration, but not this feeling of being fully seen, of being accepted in both his light and shadow. This does not mean that your relationship will become perfect or free from challenges. In fact, as deeper layers are accessed, new levels of complexity will emerge. You will be navigating territories of the psyche rarely explored, where old patterns, childhood wounds, and unconscious expectations may arise. That's why it is essential that you maintain your own centeredness, your own balance. Becoming a guardian of the masculine psyche is a sacred responsibility. But it must not come at the cost of your own growth journey. Ideally, you become companions in each other's journeys, each holding a space of acceptance so the other can integrate their shadows and walk toward wholeness. Remember, the ultimate goal is not to create dependency, but conscious interdependence. It is not to make him need you, but to create a space where both can flourish in their authenticity. Jung discovered that the deepest relationships do not occur between two incomplete people who cling to each other out of need, but between two individuals who are walking toward their own wholeness and choose to share that journey. As you walk this path together, you will notice that your communication gains a new quality. It is no longer just about words, but about an understanding that transcends language. A look, a touch, a moment of shared silence, each becomes loaded with meaning. It is as if you develop a particular language, spoken not only with words, but with your whole being. A language where vulnerabilities do not need to be hidden, where shadows can freely dance with the light. This form of communication is extraordinarily rare in our modern world, where so many relationships remain on the surface, focused on satisfying immediate needs or following predetermined social scripts. It is a form of intimacy that touches the sacred, that connects us to something greater than ourselves, and yet is also deeply human, rooted in the most basic needs of the soul: to be seen, to be accepted, to be loved in our entirety. When you help a man reconcile with his own shadows, you are essentially helping him become more whole, more integrated. He becomes more able to access qualities that were repressed: his sensitivity, his intuition, his capacity to feel deeply. In Jungian terms, he becomes more capable of accessing his anima in a healthy way. And a man who has integrated his anima is a completely different partner. He is someone capable of deep empathy, of authentic intimacy, of healthy emotional expression. Someone who does not fear his own vulnerability, who does not need to hide behind masks of machismo or indifference. Ultimately, this is the greatest gift you can offer a man, the path back to his own soul. And it is also the greatest gift you can offer yourself, a relationship where you do not need to be less so that he can be more, where both are invited to exist in their fullest expression. If this sacred knowledge has touched your heart, if you have glimpsed the transformative power that resides in the deep understanding of the masculine psyche, share this video with other women who are seeking more authentic and profound connections. Every time a woman learns to see beyond the masculine mask, to recognize and honor the hidden vulnerability of a man, she not only transforms a relationship, but contributes to the collective healing of the division between the masculine and the feminine that has caused so much suffering in our world. And don't stop here. Continue your journey by watching our next video appearing on your screen. Click on the card and confirm it.